Bulavanaka. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final edition of Clarkie's Corner for 2023. I was hoping it would continue for another few weeks, but the Swire Shipping Fijian Drua season ended at the quarterfinal stage. Not the result that they were hoping for on a cold night in Christchurch, a night when not a lot went right for the Drua, but they can hold their heads high after reaching the playoffs in just their second season. Quite amazing, really, when you look at the history of the competition. And it was a season where they learned so much on and off the field, and I can't wait to see them continue their progress in 2024. And to chat about the campaign this year in the Shop and Save Super Rugby Pacific, first up is head coach Mick Byrne. Bulla Mick.
Well, Clarkie, great to be back in touch and catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks for your time, mate. And first of all, you said at the start of the year that playing finals footy was the goal. You managed that. I'm definitely giving you a pass mark, the Drua, a pass mark. A lot of people are. Are you?
Oh, thanks for that, mate. Yeah, look, I am for sure. We stated at the time too that it's a 12-team competition. So if you're in it, you've got to be striving for that top 8 finish. We believed in our second year we would be good enough to do that. We had some good wins along the way, and we had a couple of disappointing games, but we got there in the last 40 minutes of the season. We sewed it up. We could have probably got there a little bit earlier, but I think when you have the belief that we had that you can get there, then it might take to the last 40 minutes of the season to do it.
Indeed. Let's get last Saturday out of the way. You said the Drua would have to step up in intensity, pace, physicality. They didn't quite get there against the Crusaders, did they?
No, look, we learned some valuable lessons. I think, we didn't start well. We didn't get our restart right. Put us on the back foot, gave them good front foot ball right at the start of the game, and we were defending from the minute we started. So that wasn't a great way to start. But I think also, they know what that sort of quarterfinal intensity is, and we've now experienced it. It took me back to our first game against the Waratahs when we first started this journey, and the players came in at halftime and they're like, "Wow, so this is what Super Rugby's about." The step up of intensity is, until you actually experience it, you can prepare people for what things are going to be like, but until they actually feel it, do you really learn? And we felt it on Saturday night, and we've learned from it, and we now know that what sort of intensity we need to be when we get to the finals.
And let's face it, the Crusaders, I think they're now 28 from 28 in finals games at home. So, it's part of their culture, isn't it? What was the mood like?
As I said to a couple of people that spoke to me, there's been 27 teams before us try and haven't done it. So, we've got to move on.
What was the mood like after the game? You talk about learning valuable lessons. So do you think the guys have definitely absorbed that?
Well, I didn't want to. I went around to every player and I said, get a smile on your face, hold your head up high, enjoy the moment. I didn't want anyone feeling down about it, but you could tell that they were disappointed. There's no question that they were disappointed, but I didn't want to be in the room and, sitting there and feeling that disappointment on the night. Like they've had too good a year, and they've made some great gains on and off the field for them to sit there and be massively disappointed, because that was our last time together as a team, and I just didn't want to have that feeling. We need to learn from it, of course, but I want them to realise, keep your head high and put a smile on your face. You've had a very, very good year, and I want them to feel like that. But you could see there was certainly disappointment in the room.
2022, 2 wins, 30 tries. 2023, 6 wins, 53 tries by my reckoning. So what do you put that improvement down to?
I think we put all our improvement down to, just being at home, having a base, being able to consistently train, our players understanding now what it takes to be a professional rugby player. I don't think we can put it down to one thing, Clarkie. Maybe when we're a mature program and, we've got everything set up and we've been operating for 10 or 11 years, there may be one or two things we can say we got that right. But at the moment, we're just getting everything right. We're doing everything. We're turning up and training well. We're turning up and eating well. Our medical's improving. Our on-field performances are improving. Having a home base, everything. I put it down to just being at home and everything getting better.
Well, making the top 8 is one thing, but you really want to be in the top 4 to host a quarter final next year. And to do that, you're going to have to win games on the road. The Drua won away from home. That was Moana in week 1. What needs to change if you're to start winning on the road? Is there obviously it's not a simple fix, but you've obviously thought about it.
Win on the road, Clarkie. That's what's got to change. Look, I'm not a person that gets caught up in this, mate. Seriously. The 4 home teams won their home quarterfinals. The away teams travelled to us, lost when they came away. It's home and away. There's a thing called home ground advantage is a big thing. We just need to learn about what are the things we can do better when we travel. We're not the only team. 4 teams lost away on the weekend in their quarterfinals. I've spoken to a lot of coaches about this. When you travel away, your 2 days, your day pre-game and game day are different. So you're trying to work on how you can make your pre-game and game day as close to your home as possible. But we have a large Fiji community when we travel. The players are catching up with them. There's a lot of off-field distractions. And we just need to keep monitoring that type of thing. Our away games this week, we only got 2 training days in. We're going to address that next year. We're going to work on that so that we can sort that out. Every week that we were able to get our 3 training days in, we performed well. Even the only away week we got that was in Sydney, and I thought our performance was reasonably good against the Waratahs while not winning. I thought we performed well. Because we're in a development part of our training where we can't afford to miss out on that second day of training. Our second day of training is where we put our game plan together. Our coaches do the most work they do in the week on that Tuesday. We miss that when we travel. So there's things there that are important, and we'll be better for it. And, I think it's just going to be one of those things. We want to chalk up away wins. I mean, the Blues went through a period of time there not so long ago that they weren't getting wins on the road, but they were still a good team. So it's a part of the game that we need to work into, but I think we'll be good for it.
Okay, the highs. There were many. What stands out for you?
I think the feeling after the Crusaders game was a big high. I think, obviously winning that game was great, but then just what came in that next sort of 24 hours around the country and around everybody involved was a real joyous occasion, and that was a real highlight. I think, obviously the Hurricanes came here with a pretty strong team. I think it might have been close to full strength, and getting that victory was a highlight. But when I look back over the year and the second half against the Reds, you see all these little moments. But I think for me was just seeing our players, their professionalism grow so much. The work they put in off the field on the computers and analysing games and learning more about the opposition and learning more about our game and those things, that was a real highlight for me, seeing the commitment from our players to really dig into some high-performance areas.
Mick, who impressed you from the playing ranks this year? Who went over and above?
Oh, Clarkie, that's a hard one. I think over and above, it's a hard one. I think all the boys really put in. I don't think anybody didn't do over and above. Everybody did. I think, probably guys that I was most pleased with that sort of came into the year. There was, Guys like Mustafa Massi, not having played Super Rugby before, we knew he was a good player, but he just seemed to step up a little bit. I thought Celestino, he took another step. In Illard, Drua at the back, he took that. Was so many players improved, and I think, over and above, I don't think. I know what you're probably saying there, but I think over and above, I think everybody's trying to be over and above. Everybody's trying to strive to be better, and they all did a great job. Tavita Akanaviri, when we started the year, not taking anything away from the other two hookers, but when we started the year, it was probably fair to say the three hookers started about the same base from where we finished last year, and he just became very clear as he was our number one. The other two guys, they played really well and they worked really hard as well. So it wasn't necessarily that they went backwards; they went forwards as well. But Tex did a great job. I could rattle right through the whole team on that one, Clarkie. But there were a couple of players that really sort of, for me, did very well for themselves.
Losing Joe Tamani and Carlo Ravovo is a blow for next year. And people ask me what needs to happen for the Drua to continue to improve. And from my experience, I believe it's all about retention. There will be players who move on, and good luck to them. But you need the best players for a reasonable stint if you're going to succeed. A lot of the top teams, the Crusaders, for example, they build dynasties. Is retention the key, or will you back the Fiji production line?
Oh, retention's definitely the key. There's no question about that, because you don't want to be starting every year with a new batch and trying to help educate and all those types of things. I think for me, retention is a big key. Like you invest in players and you get them where you want them at the end of the year, and then they move on. Like, I'm pretty sure, Joe and Colour, while they got great excitement in front of them, they'll be missing being part of our program. And we're sort of saying, look, we've just got these guys right where they're starting to play good rugby, and we're losing them. So retention is obviously going to be a big part of our future. But having said that, we know it's a necessary part of the growth of our organisation. We know that our organisation is going to grow. We know we're going to lose players at the other end. I think one of the things that's come out, Clarkie, that is, for me, just to clarify, just from a point of view of what Mark and Nico have done here about maintaining our list, we had an announcement where we were talking about players that weren't here next year, and that was more about recognising what players have done and contributed to our organisation, but they were leaving based on our decisions. And that's been incorrectly reported as 9 players are leaving to go overseas. And I've had some people come to me and say, oh, you're struggling to keep your players there. I just want to make sure that, and maybe we can get that done here, is that we aren't actually losing 9 players overseas. If anything, we've signed 9 players to extended contracts that are staying with us. So our program is solid. People want to be part of it. We're not losing. We've lost 2 players to overseas contracts. When we made that announcement that 9 players were leaving, it was more about recognising the contribution of our foundation members were leaving our organisation because of we weren't moving ahead with them, and we were wishing them all the best for their futures. So I think it was misreported that we'd lost 9 players overseas. So retention is a massive one for us, and we're going to build our success off it.
Well, have you filled those spots for next year? How's the squad looking?
Yeah, the squad, I think we've made the announcements of, we've put 6 of our academy boys in there. Pelimomo, we've got another maybe 1 or 2 spots to fill. So yeah, we're replacing those guys from on island, majorative. But I think, we'll continue to try and find our younger players on the island and bring them through so that we can get them in, induct them into our process. They become part of the development group. We've got 4 4 players already in there. We've got the under-20s that are going to South Africa next week. We'll probably be able to maybe grab a couple from there. And then we've got a World Rugby Combine in August that, will probably provide another opportunity to have a look at another couple of young players. So all in all, we are hoping to have around 10 players in our academy development program. This year we've got 6 that are going on to full-time contracts. So I think that's a pretty high number of success. I don't know whether we'll be able to replicate that moving forward, but if we do, that's pretty good. But I don't think we will, because our quality of our squad every year, you're improving the quality of squad, so you're going to keep the majority of your squad as you go forward. And then really all you're doing is looking to replace those ones that are going overseas. So, there's always the young academy guy that'll maybe push out a good top-line player. But, if we keep building like we're building, we'll be able to, if we lose 2 or 3 players, 1 or 2 players a year, like most Super Rugby sides do, we'll be able to replace them.
Well, what about you and the coaching staff? You seem to have a really good thing going, great chemistry. Are you all on board next year?
Yeah, I believe so. So I think we've all agreed that we want to stay together. We've had good chats with Mark and Nico, and we're all keen to stay on and continue what we're doing. And I think that'll probably happen.
That's great news. And the Drua will contribute over 20 players to the Flying Fijians. That must give you a great deal of satisfaction as well.
Yeah, it gives us all satisfaction, because I think at this stage we've got roughly 20 in the wider training group. I've got some insights into the Flying Fijians final squad, Clarkie. We've got a couple of coaches in there. And Simon Rawalui, who was instrumental in putting the Drua group together, they're probably looking at, I'd say, we might end up with 12 or 13 players in that final squad, which would be awesome. Hopefully through the program and the camp and the training, we end up with a lot more. But there are some very, very, very good players playing overseas at the moment. So if we can get 12 or 13 of our squad into that Flying Fijians, that'll be most satisfying.
And you've had a great deal of experience coaching at the Rugby World Cup with the All Blacks when they won in 2011, 2015. You were with the Wallabies 2019. Are you confident that Fiji can finish in the top 2 in their pool and qualify for the quarters?
Yeah, well, look, my first World Cup experience was 99. 2003, I was with Scotland, and we scored a pushover try in the 82nd minute to beat Fiji and qualify. If we didn't win that game, Fiji would have qualified for the quarterfinals. So, they've always been there and thereabouts various times. I think this is probably going to be one of their strongest squads, and I'm not talking about personnel-wise, I'm just talking about prep. If we end up with 10 or 12 Drua players in that program, that's great fitness, that's great, that's a more diverse range of players than they've had. I think where the sides have struggled has been that sort of fast-paced World Cup games where they go great for 60 minutes and then just drop off the cliff. Well, that won't happen with the Drua boys. The Drua boys, and I'm not saying that will happen with the Northern Hemisphere boys, but it's a different style of footy when you play Australia, for example, in the World Cup. Australia aren't going to play, I don't know, maybe Eddie will. I don't know what Eddie will do, but under Dave Rennie, they certainly weren't a kicking team. They played a good running game. That's their strength. They've got mobile players, and if you wanted to, you could pick nearly 2 teams out of the Flying Fijian squad. You could pick a team to play Wales and a team to play Australia, and then say, right, boys, we'll have a look at you over those 2 weeks, and then from there we'll get an idea about how we're going to move forward. I'm not saying that's what they do, I don't have that sort of insight, but it sets it up that they could do that, potentially do that.
Well, what's in store for Mick Byrne between now and the pre-season?
Oh, a bit of Fiji lifestyle, a bit of Skipper Cup. We get around there and have a look at our boys in Skipper Cup. And then I'll take a break around August. I've got the celebration of my dad's life that we're all going to head together and do that in August, all the family and friends. So I'll get home and get around family and friends for that. And then I'll come back and finish off the Skipper Cup and then into some pre-season planning. And before you know it, we'll be back on deck in the end of October.
Well, can I ask you for a tip in the Shop and Save Super Rugby Pacific? Who will be crowned champions on Saturday week? We're down to 4 at the moment.
Yeah, well, dare I say it, home ground advantage, Clarkie. Look, I think the Chiefs struggled last week. They haven't put together a good game of footy for a few weeks. They're due a real game, but it'll be hard pressed to go past the Crusaders. They've lost another player. I feel sorry for Ethan Blackadder. Ethan Blackadder is a great player. Look, as we said, Clarkie, any team, once you get to this stage of the season, it's a bounce of the ball, a different angle of a TV camera on the weekend, the Hurricanes are in the finals, that try for me was a try, wasn't awarded. That's okay. That's what happens, but that's finals footy. So anything could happen on the day. And I think the Chiefs have come too far this year and been the dominant side for too long not to go through and win the final. So I think the Chiefs will find their form at the right end of the season.
Okay. I won't hold you to it, but home ground advantage could be the key. Mick, the final time on Clarkie's Corner for 2023, what is your message to the Drua fans going forward?
Well, the first one is thank you very much. The Naka Vakalevu, it's just unbelievable support. And they've been quite roundly known as the best fans in Super Rugby. So, it was even obvious at the, articles I've seen written about the quarter final was our crowd made more noise than the Crusaders crowd. Now, the Crusaders crowd, they probably turn up expecting to win every week and, they don't get too excited by their team because their team tends to win every week when they're there. But our crowd was in great shape. They were awesome, and everywhere we go, we sense that. So yeah, it was great.
Well, Mick, I want to thank you for your time as always, and I hope we get to do it all again next year. It's been absolutely fantastic calling our home games. A lot of fun. Long may it continue. And thank you, Vanaka.
Thank you, Clarkie, for your continued support, and we look forward to continuing it again next year.
Cheers. Well, also joining us as we wrap up the Swire Shipping Fijian Drua season is the head of commercial and marketing with the Drua, Hussein. Bulla Shane.
Bulla Clarkie.
Nice to see you, mate. All nice and relaxed now that the season is pretty much over. But year 2022, how was this year from your perspective?
Oh, it's just been it's been stellar. We kicked a few goals, ticked a few boxes, and just learned so much running a full season at home. I've always seen this season, 2023, as our first official season because we've had a full set of home matches like every other club. As you know, Clarkie, last year was all a bit all over the place, about 12 different venues, 4 different home match venues in Australia, and we kicked out of, flood-related reasons. It was a very fulfilling and personally satisfying year for me, and I think a wonderful learning experience and fun for our commercial team, which are the support team behind the Drua.
Yeah, I hope Fijians now realise just how much work goes into running and marketing a Super Rugby Pacific team. Your staff, they're learning on the run. You must be very proud of how they embrace the challenge.
100%. And you're right. Everything was new except the one thing that you really do need in this job, which is a love and passion for the sport, and a passion for your home team. So that is available in bucket loads in Fiji, and everything else after that we learned on the go. The staff learned on the go. Simple things like getting signage right, fulfilling commercial obligations and sponsor responsibilities, delivering a match day presentation that actually gets the crowds going, because all of that is a big part of how the event comes through, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it on TV. It's a big job. It is intense, and you basically want to lock away your time between January to June when you're running a Super Rugby club.
And Shane, what are the obstacles moving forward?
Uh, there's quite a few interesting challenges. We are ongoing. We have an ongoing partnership and a bid to improve and upgrade our facilities, infrastructure wise. Um, in Fiji, simple things like LED screens, which are readily available to other Super Rugby teams to either rent for their home games or have installed already in stadiums like Amy Park and those bigger stadiums. Um, they're not available here so easily. So we have to work with our partners to install those, and all those things add to costs. We have a very late buying market, so if you like budgets, and if you like to see revenue coming in consistently, this is not for you. Um, we have a big marketing campaign to help our fans to buy early and plan to purchase early. So that's a big challenge. We're looking. That's a big opportunity for us moving forward in 2024. And we are memberships is a very new concept in this part in the Pacific Islands. Clarkie, it's been going on in Australia, and then in the rugby and other sports do it so well over there. But memberships is a very new concept, so we are very cognizant of the fact that we will take a few years to get that right when we choose the right membership options for this market. But yeah, first and foremost, we'd love to have a little bit more crowds in a stadium. If you can imagine, we have the world's best fans, and the atmosphere at our games, and you've experienced so many of these games now, Clark, yourself, how wonderful it is. And if you can only imagine how much better it would be with another 2 to 3 thousand people in the stands. So that's the ongoing the piece of work that we'll be doing in the off season, is to create more hype and more excitement and more opportunities for our fans to engage with our club and our players.
For so long, the Fiji Airways Sevens team was the poster team in Fiji. But the Drua Stars right now, they must be right up there as far as the fans are concerned.
Oh, 100%. We're a team of the people because we're here. We live here, we work here, we play here. I think one thing that works in our favor is our fans really know the guys. They really know the players. They've seen them grow up to the schools competitions. They've had their time in sevens and locals provincial rugby, and now they're having their time in the sun, so to speak, for Super Rugby. It's been an amazing experience for us, just seeing the amount of passion and love that fans have for the team and for the club. I mean, you see the Drua merch everywhere you go. It's made quite a splash in Fiji, so we're obviously very proud of that. I think with it comes the responsibility to keep delivering both on the club side and on the player side, and the responsibility we take very seriously.
It was a great night on Tuesday in Nandi when the Drua Awards were handed out. The Rookie of the Year, Marcy.
No surprises there, right?
No, Darren Alangi.
Yeah.
Head Coaches Award, Tavita Kanavale. Misake Donge, Personal Development. The Players Player, I'll come back to that one last. Misaki Donge, the FPC Award. Tavita Kanavale, the Swire Shipping Award. Fan Player of the Year, Celestino Ravu Talmunda. We all just know that the guy has so much flair, so much ability. And the Sky Pacific Commercial Champion Award went to Simeone Kuruoli. And let's hope we see a season next year from Simi where he isn't injured, where he actually plays. But the Rooster Chicken Players Player of the Year, Asila Nasilasila. I just love this guy for his work rate, for his commitment, his dedication. And that was a no-brainer for me. He had to be Players Player of the Year. Didn't miss one game.
And the fact that the players thought exactly the same way as you have, Clarkie, just shows the impact that Isoa has had on everyone around him, including his colleagues. I gotta tell you, working with Isoa is such a pleasure. He is one of the nicest, most professional guys you'll ever meet. He's funny. He's got a great sense of humor, and he just everyone around him just rallies to him, and he leads by example in terms of the effort he puts in. I think many matches you've called, he's lasted the entire 80 minutes, and he does that consistently. So you're right. It was a great choice by the players themselves for Isoa to be their choice for the players player of the year. And I think he's only just getting started, Clarkie. Sydney boy, he made his way to the Shoot Shield competition. Second year in Super Rugby, he's a flying Fijian. He was a regular starter on the November Test last season. I know he's got big plans on his own for the World Cup. And let's hope that if he makes it to France, that he's a name that commentators like ourselves will be calling a lot in those very, very important games at the World Cup if he makes it. But 100%, I'm with you. He is the man.
Well, I'm really sorry that the season is over because I counted it up earlier today. I think with the Coral Coast Sevens and the trial against the Rebels in Nandi, I think it was about 8 or 9 matches that I was involved in, and it was an absolute blast. I feel like I'm really not necessarily part of the team, but I'm feeling more comfortable with the players, and hopefully they're feeling more comfortable with having myself and Sam hovering around as well.
Well, you really have been racking up your Fiji Istanbul club points, haven't you, with those 8 or 9 trips in just what 7 months? No, less than 6 months, maybe.
Yep, indeed, yeah, and I think they're sick of me in the Tanoa club.
That's right. I don't think I think they enjoy having you around, Clarkie. And I've seen you post for a lot of photos with fans and on each of your trips. And I want to ask you, you have done this now with the Drua for 2 years, but you've been calling matches. I'm gonna say for quite some time. I'm not gonna exactly give you the year. I'll give the year to away. What's the difference? What have you seen in the last 2 seasons calling Drua home matches, compared to the regular ones you've done in the course of your very stellar career?
Yeah, well, I don't mind talking about the longevity side of things. This year, I'll hopefully get to call Fiji and Tonga and Lautoka, and that'll be my 215th Test match. And I've been calling Super Rugby since the 2001 season. I thought I'd seen it all. I called the last 3 Rugby World Cup finals. That's a big tick in my career, and I've just been blown away. Not so much last year because, as you know, it was a disrupted year. And yes, we had the 2 games at the end of the season in Lautoka and Suva. But I thought I'd seen it all. But the atmosphere, and it's not 80,000 people, it's not 50,000 people. It sounds like 50,000 people at the Drua home games. They are the best fans in the world. And it's just amazing to see where it's come from, from the start at Lennox Head through to now. I can't fault it really. Yes, technically we need to do stuff. You talk about the LED stuff. We need bigger, better cameras. We need a bigger OB truck. We need technically we need better things to happen. But it's all a work in progress. But fans. The way the Drua play when they get on a roll, it's just amazing. There are commentator friends of mine who just envy the fact that I get to call the Drua on a hot sunny afternoon in Lautoka or Suva, and they're scoring try after try, or they're having a crack, for 80 minutes. So no, I really can't fault it. Yeah, we've got a long way to go, but it's been a real eye opener for me, and I'm loving it.
What does this with the crowds you talk about? Let's talk about the best fans. What does it do for you in the box with Sam? Does it have an energizing effect to you guys?
Oh, unbelievable! I think sometimes they're too loud. I think turn this crowd down. I can't hear myself think. But no, obviously you just rise with the crowd. People say to me, what's the highlight for you? There have been many highlights as a commentator, but I remember the 2015 Rugby World Cup where the Wallabies played 5 Test matches in a row at Twickenham, including the final. 80,000 fans. It was the easiest commentary to do, really, because with that amount of noise, with that amount of atmosphere, you just rise with it, you rise above it. And it's the same at Drua matches, well before the start, mind you. The fans are partying, they're celebrating, the noise is there. So it definitely helps. Yeah, it's an absolute joy to do it, no doubt about that.
And before the matches, I see you and Sammy. You walking the fields, you do your bit on the sideline, but I see you on the pitch. You're looking at the pitch, looking around the stands. Is that to get yourself in the right frame of mind for you to call the game?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you have to absorb the whole atmosphere. But I like to go out early and go out and obviously, there's been rain in Suva at times, especially the last game against the Reds. So you want to walk out there and make it look like you know what you're talking about, and just see what it's like underfoot. But you get out there before the crowds arrive, and it's a good benchmark, because then you can just grow with the build up to the match from the get go. Yeah, you've got to go out and be in the middle. This is where the players are going to be. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. So why not go out and check the pitch?
Take us through the process and how you prepare for a match, Clarkie, like for example, like a Drua game. But just so our audience for this podcast get a feel of the amount of work you do before you actually get to the ground.
Just hold on a minute. I thought I was asking the questions here.
I don't know if you know. I used to be an interviewer a very long time ago, and those things never. Yes, a bigger journal, it never leaves you. And and I've been watching you call matches, hearing you call matches, for a very long time. And I know we work together closely now, but I've been a fan before I became a colleague. So this is my chance, and I'm not letting it go, Clarkie. So go on. What's the process? Your secret?
Well, you can see there that's my team sheet. I'm a little old fashioned, because people say, why don't you use an iPad? Well, you're flicking it through pages on that. I prefer to have it here. I write the names phonetically. And sometimes when I'm writing articles, I forget that I'm spelling the names incorrectly, because I've got the phonetic spelling. I really don't rest until I've got the teams. I just can't wait to get the teams on paper. 1 to 23 for the Drua, 1 to 23 for the Reds. That's my start. Normally happens if it's a Saturday game on a Thursday. I read a heck of a lot. I'm just taking down notes all the way through. I want to know how many games they've played. I want to know how many tests they've played. I want to know, if not their age or their weight, something about them, where they've come from. And we have so many stats available to us nowadays, and I figure that when I write all my notes down, if I get through all of them, it's a terrible game. You don't want to be bombarding the viewers with all these stats. But as you know, there are stoppages in rugby because of HIA or general injuries or whatever. The heat, sometimes there has to be a break every 20 minutes in Fiji for most games. So I want to have some stats that I can share with the viewers. And it just takes time, but that's what I love about my job. I really enjoy preparing well for matches, and if I can enlighten fans with one or two little nuggets, as we like to call it in the industry, I'm doing my job, and it gives me a great deal of satisfaction. So. I don't know how many hours I put into a match, but it just goes with the territory, and that's what I do, and I love doing it.
Is similar prep for Super Rugby and a test match, or is it like is a test match more sort of, because it's elevated, of course, maybe a bit more prep required?
Similar. Every match I treat the same. It's actually easy to call test matches when you think about it, because the players, that if there might be one or two newcomers in a team, but you pretty much know all of the players. The viewers know all the players, and the atmosphere is usually a big crowd, and it just happens. You just roll with the flow. sure, there's a challenge, but the biggest challenge is doing the Drua versus the Rebels, for example, where you've got to really make it exciting. Add wherever you can to the spectacle. And a lot of people can say, "Oh, it wasn't really a great game the other day. So many stoppages." For a commentator, I don't see that, because it's a job for me, and it could be the most boring game in the world, but I still have to be there commentating and trying to make something out of it, trying to throw my stats in there or whatever. The 80 minutes goes like that in those sorts of games. So, yeah, it's a job, and some of us treat it a little differently. But for me, I start on Monday and finish full time.
Brilliant. Okay, well, now with that background, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Drua vs Crusaders in Lautoka, Drua vs Rebels in Suva, Drua Blues in Lautoka, Drua Hurricanes in Suva, Drua Moana in Lautoka, and Drua Reds in Suva. Your favorite match to call, and you have to pick one. You can't be sitting on the fence.
I want to pick two.
I have a feeling.
Not a full match.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Go on.
I want the first 40 minutes against the Rebels. Incredible. I think I've got it somewhere here. What was it? 33-7 at halftime. Best first half I've seen from the Drua. Amazing to call. Tried to draw Sessi to Robert Tamunda to Miramira to Marcy to Salawa. So that was fantastic. The first half against the Melbourne Rebels. Second half against the Reds, because of what was at stake. The winner cements a place in the playoffs, and that was incredible. 17-all at halftime, 41-17 to the Drua. What happened at halftime, I don't know, but I don't really care anymore, because they came out and scored 1, 2, 3 tries, 41-17. So first half against Rebels, second half against the Reds. If I had to settle for a game, though, the Crusaders, just because they were the defending champions. It was at home in Fiji. I saw the whole country lift after that game, and Mick Byrne earlier in Clarkie's Corner podcast said the same thing, that the reaction from the fans, from the whole country, from also internationally, was amazing. The Drua had arrived the day they beat the Crusaders in Lautoka. So if I had to pick one game overall, that was the game.
Okay. And I totally get me. We were sidelined. I thought we got so excited. The staff got so excited. We forgot to do the usual post-match. Here's the full-time score, and post that. Everyone was just forgot about it and ran onto the field to celebrate with the boys. It will live long in the memory. The Crusaders one obviously was unexpected, but which other result other than the Crusaders game really surprised you, that you really didn't think it was going to go the Drua's way?
Well, after the Blues played a very smart game against the Drua, and the Blues were the only visiting team to beat the Drua at home, I thought the Hurricanes would take the Blues blueprint and try and slow it down at every opportunity. Front rowers going down, doing up their bootlaces, walking to lineouts, walking to scrum, really testing the referee with the new protocol of 30 seconds for a scrum and 30 seconds for a lineout, etc. But that was the one that sticks in my mind in answer to your question, because I thought they'd be smarter than that. They tried to, but they were just outclassed on the day. And as you know, Adi Savir, he's very gracious. And he said that the Drua outplayed them, and we tried hard, but we couldn't get there. So to me, that was a game that sticks out from that point of view.
And was there a point in those the home matches here that you had to sort of do this to your mic and go to Sam and go, did that really happen?
Oh, well, you don't really mention it or mouth it. You just look at each other, and I mean, Sam was probably more excited about some of the play than I was, because I've been around for a while. Sam's a bit of a rookie commentator at the moment. He's played the game, but he's never sort of been in the commentary box, sort of just looking at try after try after try. What's his favourite line? Stop it! Sam was like, "Stop it! This can't be happening. Is this for real?" Yeah. So no,
Did
we
he
have
did
a we have.
did he get to use that in the I think with the Reds game, wasn't it? That
Oh, he's thrown stop it in plenty of times. He just beside himself, and then I have to sort of give him a nudge to say, "Hang on, you're commentating. You're not a fan here." We all want to sit back and take it all in and celebrate, but we have to actually expand on it. So, yeah, he was probably a little bit more excited than I was because I'd seen it before. But yeah, got a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
it's been brilliant. All right, I have one more thing to ask. I know that people have been wondering, and it's these zingers that you come up with that become long in memory, that live long in memory, and we use it in our highlights and hype reels and all sorts of stuff like Revolver, let's go, Smoking Joe, Eroni Sao, wow. I don't think I missed that one because I have not missed that one. Um, do you know to say it, or you just make it up on this? Does it come to you naturally on the spot, or what's that? How do you come up with these one-liners that continue on, like the Humbosi try from 2023? Sorry, the Color Revolvo try started by Humbosi in 2022, and Revolvo, let's go. That became the talk. We had people mimicking you, doing those videos. Um, how do those come about?
Oh, they're obviously in your subconscious. I was told very early on by a mentor that you really shouldn't write those sort of things down because if they're written down, you try and force them in. And there's no way you can force all that stuff in when the Revovo scored that try in Latoka. But the names are just there. I'm a journalist, I'm a commentator, and I'm not a poet, but things rhyme, don't they? And so somewhere there was Revovo. Let's go. I remember Keith Quinn calling Rapini Valvanambupa. I think it was the 2003 World Cup, and Quinny came up with a similar thing with Thou, something like Thou,
Gone or something. Yeah, I remember. Vaguely
yeah,
remember that.
going, gone, or something like that. And you don't write them down, but they're there, and all of a sudden, and boss said nothing was happening, and then all of a sudden he beat one, he beat two, and we used to highlight his yellow boots, and he's got the afterburners, which is one of my favourite sayings from years ago. And he gave it to Rabobo, and he said, "Let's go." And I didn't think anything of it. And at the end, I just heard the crowd roar, and I said, "Let the crowd tell the story," because it was pretty obvious. I couldn't tell the story any better than the crowd could. So the director cuts to the crowd, sound man winds the crowd up even more, and it's a happy ending. So yeah, it was good stuff.
I think
you don't write it. No, you don't write it down. You
don't
just
write it.
Alrighty, Sal. You try and come up with something different every time, and Sal and wow.
Yeah.
Voter with the motor.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, against the Rebels in the first ever win actually. Down in the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to come up with something for Marciano.
Well, you started with the Marcy Masterclass. Yes, I watch you. I have nothing else. I have no life, so I just watch Drua games on replay all the time. So I followed the Marcy Masterclass bit. That was coming out, and now you have to come up with things for Tevita and Melly and a few other boys.
Well, I'll work on it. Hopefully, I've got the off season to work on it. But no, it's been a lot of fun, and great to have the opportunity to do it. Looking forward to getting back to Lautoka next month, hopefully, for Fiji versus Tonga, which will be quite incredible. And I just hope that the Drua fans embrace that game as well, because there's going to be quite a sprinkling of Drua players in the Flying Fijians, and I think they're going to be hard to beat. They'll be very competitive at the Rugby World Cup.
And it'll be interesting for you for that game as well, because you don't only know the Drua boys who will be hopefully the Flying Fijians, and I hope there's quite a few of them in there, but also from Tonga, like some of the names there, you've called them in Super Rugby, you've called them at test level for the Wallabies even.
And Todd Ikefi, the coach, is one of my all-time favorite players. Falau and Peo Tau, and the squad was actually named during the week, and there are some really familiar names there. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I do know that I will have to have a coffee with you again at the coffee hub and talk about phonetic pronunciation for some of the boys coming back from Europe. But looking forward to it.
Always happy to help, Clarkie. You've made such a massive difference to how fans, not just in Fiji but all of the world, see and enjoy and experience the Drua. The way you call our plays when in the style we play. I think your commentary is right up there, matching the style of the play of the Drua. So hey, thank you so much, and here's to a very good, and an even better 2024.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shane. And everyone, thanks for watching each week on Clarkie's Corner podcast and reading the article in Fiji Times and on online. So it's been a blast, and let's hope we get to do it again. Mau day.